The rise of the comic book adaptation has provided an amazing look into the hero's journey, with Marvel and DC being at the forefront, providing everything from coming-of-age stories like Spider-Man to gritty anti-heroes like the Punisher out for revenge. A look into the dark side of the double life with Batman, and exploring what it really means to be human with Superman. But no hero's journey would be complete without a villain, an antagonistic threat worthy of providing conflict for our main characters. From stoic manipulators to hulking brutes, there's many different ways to portray a villain. But if I had to pick one comic book character that possesses all the traits that I look for in a great villain, it would have to be Thanos. A unique combination of brains and brawn, with a terrifying perspective on life, allowing us to have a rare look into the ideology of our villain, something that so many franchises forget to consider. A character that only exists to hurt the innocent or take over the world can be very hard to get invested in no matter the genre. But when their actions are logical and their goals are clear, this is often much more intimidating than random acts of violence. And every great villain begins with a great introduction. So I want to take a look at his first scene and break down just why it's so well done. Versus Zack Snyder's Justice League and the desecration of Darkseid. Instead of the normal theme for the Avengers, the film opens up with a much darker soundtrack, setting the tone for things to come. As we see an Asgardian ship under siege after the events of Ragnarok, Thanos' lieutenant strolls past the corpses of the fallen Asgardians as he gives a speech praising them for their sacrifice.
You may think this is suffering. No. It is salvation.
We get a brief shot of Loki, with a face full of despair, as the camera pans over to the Mad Titan, standing next to his brother laying still on the floor. So before he even says a word, Thanos has established dominance over two of the most powerful characters in the MCU, managing to defeat Thor in combat and silence Loki.
I know what it's like to lose. Feel so desperately that you're right, yet to fail nonetheless. If I ask you to what end? Dread it? Run from it? Destiny arrives all the same.
A very interesting choice for his first lines, showing not only is there a purpose to all this destruction, but he understands their perspectives and expresses his sympathy.
The Tesseract, or your brother's head.
He then gets straight to business, threatening to kill Thor, prompting a response from Loki.
I assume you have a preference.
Oh, I do. Kill away.
Which Thanos immediately obliges, showing he is not here to play games. And we are forced to recall the incredible history between these two brothers as Thor screams in agony, while Loki struggles to maintain his composure.
Alright, stop!
He reveals the Tesseract that holds the Infinity Stone that he is here to claim, presenting it as an offering for Thanos as he gives a word of encouragement to Thor. He lives up to his nickname as the God of Mischief, managing to trick Thanos and set up the Incredible Hulk. Hulk tackles him to the floor and assaults him with hooks and hammer fist, before bashing him into the wall to strangle him.
Let him have his fun.
Possibly the best line of the scene, as not only does it give us insight into Thanos' personality, but it also shows the absolute confidence that they have in his abilities. He breaks the Hulk's grip with ease, displaying his incredible strength, and strikes him in the throat to back him up. Thanos parries the Hulk's left hook as he cuts an angle to his left, setting up a clean 1-2 combination down the middle. He dodges another haymaker and lands a left hook to the liver. The wild, brawling style of the Hulk is completely countered by the efficient movement and technique of Thanos, completely battering a defenseless Hulk before landing a knee to the face and slamming him to the floor. Heimdall uses his remaining energy to send Hulk back to Earth, saving his life and sacrificing his own in the process. And Loki and Thor share a brief moment of respect as he refers to himself as Odin's son for the first time, before attempting his final trick. Thanos squeezes the life out of the first major villain of the MCU and drops his corpse before his brother's feet. One of the most thorough and commanding introductions I've ever seen. But why is it well written? One of the clearest signs of good writing is a scene that accomplishes several things at once, and the efficiency of the dialogue. Much like the introduction of the great Tony Stark, not a single word is wasted, and in less than 10 minutes, he showcases his raw power and combat ability. We learn how disciplined his team is and how much they worship him. Thor and Loki are united in their darkest hour, and the two people closest to Thor sacrificing themselves to try to stop him while he can do nothing but watch. They remember the history of these characters, and they use that to create drama. This scene not only accomplishes the goal of introducing our villain, but it manages to respect all the characters and set up meaningful payoffs. A beautiful death scene for Loki, a clear motivation for Thor, a path for revenge for the Hulk, and the start of the final stages of Thanos' plan. The power to destroy the Hulk 1v1, and the intelligence to counter Loki's tricks. They manage to show us everything that we need to see to consider him a genuine threat and leave us wanting more.
Stark.
You know me?
I do. You're not the only one cursed with knowledge.
Now, let's compare that to Darkseid. Much like Thanos, he is also a powerful and intelligent character, and seemingly just as well equipped to be the big boss of the DCEU. But the difference in the quality of their writing is where everything falls apart.
A great armada appeared in the sky, laying waste to all who opposed it. The leader of the invaders was a being called Darkseid.
After a millennia of searching for the anti-life equation, a formula to control all living beings and enslave the multiverse, Darkseid arrives on Earth to conquer and terraform it using the advanced science of the Mother Boxes to scorch the planet and enslave all its inhabitants. So right away we have a problem. Because I can understand a broken man on a quest for revenge, or committing crimes to provide for your family. I can even understand going to extremes for resource management. But how can I relate to someone that wants to scorch the earth and enslave all living beings? It's a sign of an empty character. A bad because bad antagonist, one of my least favorite approaches to a villain. He is met in battle by all the defenders of Earth, from the Atlanteans to the Amazons. No idea how they all managed to arrive at the exact same time with no cell phones or Twitter. I suppose they just sent thousands of ravens, I don't know. But the more important question is, what the hell are they gonna do with their spears against spaceships? We just saw what Thanos' ship did to the Asgardians, and these people are literally on horseback. This battle is already over. Launch the nukes, Darkseid. End these fools. Okay then. So, unlike Thanos, who was literally ganked by the Incredible Hulk, Darkseid apparently just wants to show off, so he chooses not to execute them. Alright, fine with me. Nothing wrong with a villain wanting to get their hands dirty. So let's see what he's got. He has finally found the anti-life equation. He has his army and his Mother Boxes. Darkseid has everything he needs to complete his goals. But for some reason he decides to do the entire ritual right in the middle of the battlefield. Rather than the comfort and safety of his ship, or on a deserted part of the planet. Darkseid, the super genius, basically says bring it on, as his copy and pasted sorcerers begin the ritual. So the defenders of Earth charge into battle as over a dozen of his spaceships float there and do absolutely nothing to contribute. I thought at the very least, Darkseid T-posing meant that he'd be protecting his crew, but instead he's charging into battle with the rest of the pawns. They have access to science so advanced that it looks like magic, yet they're completely defenseless against a pointy stick. And after two of his sorcerers get sniped, we cut back to him killing a bunch of warriors with his axe, a brief display of his power. But then he stops to grab the face of a random soldier. Who is this man? Why is this worth the time when you're in the middle of a battle? What is the point of this scene? Oh, it was just a distraction, of course. So Monkey Man blasts him while he's distracted and then bumps into two parademons and falls on the floor. But not to worry, he's got plenty of time to adjust and escape. But instead, he stands there and does nothing to defend himself as Darkseid stomps him to the ground. He fires a laser for the third time out of desperation before being brutally murdered by his axe. So this monkey was either incredibly drunk and not prepared for battle, or they turned one of the most powerful characters into a bum just to make Darkseid look good. An arrow. A fucking arrow. You serious? Okay, let's assume it's a magic arrow. Some Amazon bullshit, fine. He gets pinned down by lightning and is unable to move. And once again, none of his spaceships or the thousands of demons do anything to help him. They all just watch as a fucking god is defeated by an axe. Then, they drag him back to his ship, where he proceeds to faint and shit himself, before fleeing the planet like a bitch.
What the hell are No!
Completely wasting and humiliating one of DC's greatest villains. But why is it horribly written? On the surface, Thanos and Darkseid are very similar characters. But when it comes to the execution and the goals of the writers, they couldn't be more different.
If life is left unchecked, life will cease to exist. It needs correction.
You don't know that!
I'm the only one who knows that.
I will stride across their bones and bask in the glow of anti-life, and all of existence shall be mine.
Okay.
From the very moment he opens the door and is introduced, he is essentially ruined. Any chance of creating a mystique or displaying his leadership ability is immediately lost, as he runs into battle with no strategy whatsoever. And rather than using the Defenders of Earth to give us a clear display of his power, they make them worthless just to prop him up. But then he's practically killed by an axe in the next scene, so what the fuck was the point? Thanos used all his available resources, sieged and boarded the Asgardian ship. Darkseid put his ships on pause and fought like a caveman instead. Thanos' intro made use of the other characters' abilities and histories, while showing his experience in hand-to-hand combat and displaying his composure. Darkseid fought a retarded monkey that forgot how his power worked. The Green Lanterns can use their rings to create anything that they can imagine, and we are forced to watch him shoot lasers and get sucker punched by a Poro Demon.
You suck!
Thanos came to Earth and crushed the Avengers, completing what he considered his destiny. He lost his crew and sacrificed the person he loved most to achieve his goals, before finding a place to rest. Darkseid came to Earth and got wrecked by an axe, and then shat himself in front of thousands of people, dropped his boxes and fled the planet in shame, losing for the very first time. And then he spent thousands of years looking for his boxes because he forgot where he dropped them. The humiliation he suffered was so traumatic that he fucking forgot what planet it was on.
Can it be true that you have found it? The lost world is Earth. Anti-life is here.
He didn't keep the coordinates. He didn't leave a surveillance ship. He didn't write it down on a sticky note. Nothing. This man is a fucking moron. Darkseid is disgraced in every way imaginable. And it's such a shame, because not only does he have amazing potential as a villain, he has an incredibly loyal fan base. And to see it completely wasted just for this film is just a tragedy. There are so many ways to introduce your villain, from a tense but intimate conversation to a full-scale battle scene. But regardless of what approach you take, the goal should be to create an intimidating character, through presence or power. And if you have the talent, both. But Darkseid might just be the worst I've ever seen. The greatest example of how not to write a villain. Thanks, Zach.